Hello, world. I'm Miles.
And I'm Memphis.
Welcome to the Your Story Club
podcast.
A place where stories are told and legends are made.
That was cute, but I'm here for the interviews and not the jokes.
Sorry.
Oh, guys, and by the way, his nickname on the podcast is the Lame Joke Dude.
Hey, I'm watching you here.
And so am I. I'm also watching you. We're going to be interviewing all kinds of creatives, and you guys are going to be asking them awesome questions about what?
Their childhood.
I think that if we can chat with people about their childhood, you creative too will be inspired, and then we can pass it on to other people.
Should we call you Dinosaur Dude or Lame Jokes Guy?
I think we're going to call you Nickname Maker. That's what we're going to call you.
I actually don't like that nickname.
Mr. Nickname Maker.
No!
Okay. Everyone, we want to welcome you to
The Your Story Club,
Where everyone has a story.
And we are recording.
Hey, guys, first time in the new studio.
It is kind of the first time in the new studio, isn't it? Well, we kind of moved to a different part of the studio.
Exactly. New place in the studio.
All right, everybody, we are so excited that you are joining us today. First of all, if you are listening and you're here on the third episode and you have lived some life with us, we just want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for tuning in to the Your Story Club
Podcast.
So, Memphis, I was super proud of you yesterday because you did something awesome. You went to this ziplining place.
It's really fun.
It was really fun, and I was so excited to see how you conquered some of your fears.
I hate heights.
You hate heights.
But you got up like 30 feet in the air. And my feet were shaking on the ground.
To correct that, I was actually 150 feet up.
They have you start out on lower courses, and then as it goes along, you build to bigger ones. But I was so proud of you. You had a harness on, you carabined yourself, and you did all these high ropes course. Way to go, dude. Yeah, you faced some fears, so I was pretty proud of you. And while you were doing that, what were we doing, Miles?
Well, you were up in the trees doing tree stuff. I was prepping for this because I'm so excited about our guest today. Probably the same as you will be when you're meeting Chris Pratt. Adam Copeland is an actor and a professional wrestler. Did you know that?
No.
His wrestling career has spanned 4 decades, and he's entertained millions of fans internationally by winning 31 championships overall in WWE. That's insane.
So he's 400 years old?
No.
Oh.
He was the youngest wrestler ever to be introduced into the WWE Hall of Fame. He currently wrestles for All Elite Wrestling, where he's added 2 more championships to his resume. Okay, so Memphis, you know how Dad sometimes lifts weights, but Adam lifted, you know those huge barbells at the gym?
Yeah.
He lifted those against, it says world, but I'm just going to say a lot of people in 11 times.
What?
And he was the youngest wrestler ever to be introduced to the WWE Hall of Fame.
I think you already said that.
He has produced, directed, and starred in 22 episodes of The Edge and Christian Show that totally reeks of awesomeness. Love the name. So funny.
Now that's funny. Well, not funnier than my jokes, but that is really funny.
Also, book that's a New York Times bestseller and is currently in the process of writing a second book. So, let's get this straight. He's an author, actor, a wrestler, a podcast guy.
And a cool dude.
We know him for his roles as Dwight on Haven with the Intruder as the star of the TV show. But he has had major roles on shows like Viking, The Flash, and so many more. But most recently, and my personal favorite, he plays Ares, the god of war, on Disney's Plus series Percy Jackson, the Olympians. We will talk in more depth about that later, so I can have time to nerd out.
Hey guys, he really is a nerd about Percy Jackson. I'm just telling you.
Okay, I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay, also, before we continue, I just need to clear a couple things up. Okay, number one, the heavyweight title doesn't necessarily mean that he lifted heavy weights, although he can lift very heavy weights. It's a title with a really cool big belt. Yes, it does mean a lot. Second, just to give everybody a little context, and the boys already know this, we get to have Adam Copeland on because I was in a show for a long time called Haven on the Sci-Fi Channel, as well as on Showcase in Canada and internationally around the world. One of our incredible characters on that show was named Dwight, and that was played by Adam Copeland. So if you want to see Adam and I acting in some scenes, go back and check out that series. You'll hear us talk about it a lot on this podcast, and actually may meet a few people from that show as we continue on in the season. Okay, how are you feeling, Miles? Adam's about to pop on the screen. I can feel it.
Oh, hey!
Oh my goodness. Okay, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Coming in hot, kiddo.
Adam, thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
We are going to get so many views.
Why? Because of Percy Jackson?
We will get to that later, so I have time to nerd out.
That's right. So he has time to nerd out.
Correct.
Yes. And you know what? I'm glad we did a little pre-roll on this because Memphis had some stuff about nerding out.
Nerding out? Cool. Well,
Yes.
the good thing is I'm a giant nerd.
I don't know if people know that about you too, Adam, that you're a giant nerd.
Okay, so Adam, I heard you liked dogs.
Oh, no.
I have 1 to maybe 100 jokes about dogs.
So we used to have 5, and then due to old age,
Yeah.
we kind of
I
lose
get it.
every 2 years. We'd lose
I
one.
get it.
Then we started collecting them again. So we have a woolly coated Siberian Husky named Odin,
Oh,
And-
okay, I like that name.
and he's
That's
a
a good name.
maniac.
Odin.
But he's beautiful. He's all white with blue eyes and yellow spots. And then we have a toy Australian Shepherd named Pumpkin, and she does not leave my side. And then we have a Frenchie named Miss Pickles, or Madam Pickles if it's a formal dinner. And we just rescued 3 months ago this little Frenchie named Haven. Get this. Okay. So we followed this page on Instagram called Road Dogs. And they're out in California and they rescue Frenchies and pit bulls and bulldogs and the smush face dogs, basically. So we saw this dog named Haven, and she was so neglected. We think she's never been out of a cage. They think she's 2 to 4 years old. But she was also burned and stabbed, and she was 8 pounds. This place called Road Dogs, and they're on Instagram. They're amazing. Anyway, they rescued her, and so here's where it gets really crazy. They named her Haven. Her Haven.
Oh my
right?
goodness.
On a show called Haven with your mom. And then her middle name, they named her Haven Periwinkle. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. My first Australian Shepherd was named Shine Periwinkle Copeland, and I named her Shine Periwinkle.
No way. It was meant to be.
So she was named Haven Periwinkle. It gets crazier. Her foster mom is named Ruby. And my youngest daughter is named Ruby.
Oh,
so
my
there's
word.
3 things we're like, we have to get this dog. So Beth flew out to San Diego, picked her up, met her, flew directly back, landed at midnight. She came and set Haven in my lap, and she was shivering. She was just any human contact, and she was scared to death. She fell asleep in half an hour, and now she's the best.
Oh my goodness, what an awesome story. We have a little story about a little doggy. The little doggy named Haven Periwinkle.
I need to share one joke about dogs.
Now,
like 50.
quick question though. From 1 to 100, what joke number is this?
50.
41? 50.
In my opinion.
In your opinion, okay.
Why didn't the dog want to play football?
Because it has
Because
paws?
he was a boxer.
Oh, that's a dad joke if I ever heard one. I'm going to be using that.
That's very good.
Use it, use
Okay.
it, use it.
So, Alice, what have we been doing to be creative so far? I mean, for the past couple of days.
You mean the past, 2 hours? Well, we have been using this awesome app called Stop Motion Studio for the past, 30 minutes to an hour. We have been making our cousin a video since he's in the hospital battling an infection. So we made a stop motion video card to cheer him up.
We've been doing stop motion with Legos. It's how they made all the famous Lego movies.
Lego Movie, Lego Movie 2, Lego Ninjago.
So, you should really check this app out. It's been fun. We made a story
A guy's head almost got bit off.
by an alligator.
Yeah, we think our cousin will really like it. Right now, I'm in iMovie, polishing it up and adding all the special effects and the music and stuff.
Hey, we should post it on our Instagram page when we're done.
Oh, yeah. You'll love the one about the beach alligator man thing. You'll also love the one that's mine about the jet.
Well, I mean the old plane.
Well, it's not a jet, it's an antique World War II plane. But yeah, you guys should try it yourselves. Get the stop motion app and iMovie for the whole set. You can start making your own story today. And we'd love to see it. Email us hello@yourstoryclubpodcast.com.
Or you can have your parents post it on Instagram. And hashtag Your Story Club Podcast. We can't wait to see what you've made.
First of all, again, we want to say thank you so much for being here, Adam. It's incredible. We're so glad that you came on. It's very fun when you've obviously worked with so many people for so long, and then your kids actually really care about meeting them. That's always fun. That's always a blast, right? This is obviously all about your story, right? Our podcast is all about stories and people's stories. And I don't know if you know, but I think I had told you maybe over email, but this started out because I really want to know about how people got to where they were. And I think kids should know about how people got to where they were, and that it doesn't always just start with you becoming and doing what you just wanted to do, that you started out as this seedling, this kid somewhere. Your story grew and you grew into all of this amazingness, right?
So funny enough, this happened because I broke my arm.
That's true. And what are you dealing with right now?
And I am currently sitting here with my foot up on my knee scooter. Yes, I have a knee scooter, but it's British Racing Green, so it's cool. You want to see the knee scooter?
We do need to see the knee scooter.
All right.
Yes.
Welcome to the Knee Rover. Look, I've used it so much that the letters are starting to peel off already.
That's amazing.
And yes, it has a basket on the front because I go grocery shopping.
So you jumped off a cage onto a table with another guy on it.
Who was tied down by barbed wire.
Guys, this is stuff that moms are always trying to say, don't do that. But I don't think
Definitely.
that your mom wasn't saying that, apparently, because this is who you've become. She's encouraged this kind of thing.
She would always hide and kind of cringe and do that and make sure the end result was okay. But yeah. And stupidly, it was also real barbed wire. I think I still there's one of the scars from it.
Oh,
starting to go away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was all shredded up too.
Okay, why did you use real barbed wire?
That's the question. It is. It absolutely is. You know, like if there's one thing I can say, it's that wrestlers, while we keep a lot of plates in the air while we're live, and we got to know what camera's hot, and there's so many elements that go into it, but we're also, in terms of our physical well-being, we're not bright.
I think you're pretty bright. You're just very brave. You're very, very brave. Memphis said the other day when he was on the high ropes course, he just kept telling himself, the ground is very soft. If I fall, it will be very soft. And I was like, I'm pretty impressed. Impressed.
Mine didn't quite feel like that. I was, there's 12,000 people there. We're in Las Vegas. And I was like, I'll just go up to the top of the cage. And so I kept climbing.
So this wasn't rehearsed.
No. So, and you see the crowd coming up on their feet and you're like, yeah, I got this, right? So in my mind, still thinks I'm 29, but my body is 50. And so when I got to the top of the cage, I looked down, I went, oh my, that's a long way down.
That's pretty tall.
Yeah,
Well,
how am I going to pull this one off? Well,
Go
my
ahead.
first thought too is, how do I not kill this man who is
Right.
completely, because we're a performance and we're entertainment. It's just a highly physical form of entertainment. We're our own stunt
Right.
people.
With real barbed wire.
With the real barbed wire, yes. and if you watch as I'm climbing the cage, I get stuck. The barbed wire is all stuck on me, and I'm trying to climb through it. That should have been my first clue to stop, but I didn't. So I decided, hey, I'm up here now. He looks really small. Wow, maybe if I just land on my feet and roll backwards, I should be okay, and I shouldn't kill him.
Oh my goodness.
So I landed, I rolled back like I thought I would, and I laid there and I went, maybe I just sprained my ankle. And then I got up and I ran and I felt a click and I went, maybe I did more than sprain my ankle. But we're here now, so I just kept wrestling. We finished the match, and then I hobbled to the back and I hobbled to the training room, and they started poking and prodding and moving, and I was like, it's not that bad. But they sent me to the hospital, and then I got x-rays, and they went, your leg's broken, quit walking on it. I went, right.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Whoops.
Adam. But I bet everybody was so supportive of you in the stadium.
Yeah,
for the
I mean, I
fans?
don't. Well, and nobody really knew what had happened yet, right? So
That's true.
they just saw me limping off. So
That's true.
Generally, you're not going to see somebody walk on a broken leg, but I'm
And generally,
not.
you won't see someone jumping off a cage.
No, especially at my advanced age.
Yes, that's true. That's true. We're not even into our first question. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Hey, Adam, how long has it been?
Since we last saw you each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, gosh.
I know. I was trying to think about it. I mean,
So-
I think we came over to your guys. We came over
Yep.
to y'all's house. And that was actually when my husband found out he was gluten free because he had the hiccups for 6 days. Do you remember that?
I totally forgot that until you just said it.
I just remember I was like, we visited Adam and went to his beautiful house and it was awesome. But Derek got no sleep because he had the hiccups for 6
he
days,
hiccuped.
and that's when we found out that he was gluten free
Gluten free.
at your house.
All right.
I just remember in Memphis. This is probably will answer your question. I remember where. Adam, you got to have this great room for guests when they come and stay. And in that room, there's a spatula with a maple leaf on it. And that is because...
Hey, Adam, where did you grow up? Oh, I know.
So you
I
don't
saw a
want an
bit
answer?
of Canada in you. You came from Canada.
Yes,
I
I
see
am
Canada
Canadian.
on you.
I am Canadian. I got a maple leaf tattooed on my foot. I love Canada. I really do. I live in
Which one? The one
Which
that's
one?
broken?
No.
Which
actually. No. The other one, the other leg has all the broken stuff. The Canadian one, it's super strong because of the
It's-
tattoo, I think. Yeah. It's kind of like Superman's S.
yes, you can't break that
You can't,
Canadian
well,
spirit.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town just outside Toronto, actually. So when we filmed Haven, it was nice to be able to get back to Canada, especially on the East Coast out in Nova Scotia, because I love it out there.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you give the boys and our listeners the Cliff Notes version of this young boy in Canada who ends up becoming a wrestler?
Well, it's interesting because anyone who gets into wrestling generally has a different story. There's no one way to get into this thing because it's weird, right? It's kind of off the beaten path. But I was a kid,
Getting
and
paid to get beat up.
I'm getting paid to do what I always wanted to do, which is
Mhm.
I realize how rare that is. But the first time I saw wrestling, I was about 10, and for whatever reason, it just hit me directly in all the, like, right in the heart. I loved it immediately. I didn't really understand what it was, but it was, in my mind, it was kind of like comic books come to life. And I couldn't go shake hands with Spider-Man, but I could go down to Maple Leaf Gardens and maybe run into Hulk Hogan. So that to me was massive. And then you'd see them come out and they were just larger than life and these colorful, charismatic characters.
Spandex.
In spandex, yes. Yes, it's a prerequisite. For whatever reason, it just hit me, and I said that's what I'm going to do. And my mom, bless her heart, was very supportive of it. She never questioned me. She never doubted me. I think maybe at first she was kind of like, "Okay, that's great, good for you." Yeah, so thankfully, my mom was super supportive because it's one of those industries that when you say it to people, they go, "Right, that's going to happen," because the chances are pretty slim. But she just stuck with me. And that was massive because if I didn't have her as my support system, everyone else in my life doubted it, except for her and my best friend Jay, who also wanted to be a wrestler. So as long as I kind of had those two at my back, I felt like I could do it.
Did you win any contests as a kid?
So the first contest I ever won was a drawing contest. And it was the Dufferin County Drawing Contest. And you had to draw this like a scene of firefighters coming to help and save things. So I just drew a picture of firefighters stopping a burning house and rescuing people. And I won the art contest, which meant I rode in a fire truck with a silver fire truck hat on with white gloves down the Christmas parade waving. And I was mortified. I was so
Are you
embarrassed.
kidding me? Oh my! You won an art contest at a young age, and you got to dress up like a fireman.
Nobody knows this either because I was a kid. I was mortified. I got this like silver, and I mean shiny silver, like you could see yourself in it. So it was like you couldn't miss me. And I'm sitting on top of a fire truck, just waving, and I'm seeing all my friends from school, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to hear the end of this. Then they took me to town hall, where I was presented with all my awards and plaques and all of this, and I still got the fire hat on, and oh man. So that was the first thing I won.
Wait. You're talking that the first thing you won, Adam, was an art contest?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I think so.
This is a good segue.
It's an insanely good
Segue.
So I'm going to bring up something cool that not a lot of people know. Actually, most of the cast on Haven.
So look at this. This is something that when
You
Miles...
still have it.
It was just in my closet somewhere.
Yeah, it was up there on the wall.
I literally found it.
And then turn it around.
Oh my gosh.
I was pregnant with Miles on Haven. And so the cast and crew and producers, they threw this baby shower for me. And everybody, gets gifts and whatnot. And it's great. Like the ones that have meaning. And Adam was so sweet. I remember he painted this piece of driftwood from Canada with Miles's name on it and a rock with his name on it. And they're so colorful, just like you. I mean, like so colorful, full of color, and they're so well done. Yeah. Miles was like, we got to show him these on the interview.
So crazy. I remember it, but I didn't think he'd still have it. And what I loved about Haven too is that we were all having families together. I realize now how special an experience Haven was as I've done more shows and as I've kind of, okay, there's this cast and there's this cast and there's this cast, but that felt like more than a cast. And we were in Chester and it was us. It was just a really great experience. And I'm really, really, I'm happy I got to experience that, although it kind of spoiled me going forward. I will say that.
Speaking of Sloan, Lucas, and Kirsty, 3 months ago, they came and visited. It was very cold out. Me and Sloan walked out of our house wearing the same jacket, the Haven jacket. And that we had no clue each other were wearing it.
Yeah, it was kind of a moment. We all got down to the driveway and Lucas and I looked at each other and we looked at the kids and we were like, oh, that's kind of odd. But if there was this moment where they were standing next to each other and I was like, this is really bizarre and so sweet and special. So we have that picture. It was fun.
To add on to that, Ruby still uses the Haven blanket to sleep at night.
Oh my goodness. Guys, this whole podcast is like a Haven love fest right now. Let's be honest. It was just so good. It was just so good. Okay, Memphis. So we've learned he's from Canada.
Yes.
We've learned that he won some contests as a kid. What else did we have on our list?
Did you wrestle as a kid?
Growing up, I love sports. I just absolutely love sports. And I think for me, it was an outlet. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so there wasn't a lot of stuff that I really had, but I had sports. I could go to school and I could play sports, and it was an amazing outlet for me to channel a lot of frustrations and a lot of questions and a lot of things that I couldn't get answers to. If I played sports, it was simple. I knew the goal. I knew what I had to try and accomplish, and thankfully, my genetics leaned into that. So I played volleyball, I played basketball, I played soccer, played baseball. We didn't have a wrestling team in high school, but my public school had a wrestling team, so I wrestled from grades 2 to 8. But once I got to high school, there was no wrestling program, which really bummed me out. But by that point, I already knew I'm going to be a pro wrestler anyway. So I'll be able to use some of the amateur wrestling stuff, but I know that pro wrestling is a way different thing. Hockey was never an option after the first couple of years because we just couldn't afford it. And I was outgrowing.
It's expensive.
Yeah, and I was outgrowing my equipment, and we didn't have a car. So if you don't have a car to get the hockey games, most of the games were out of town. And so I was one of those guys that now I say to my kids, I walked to school. And guess what? It was minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah.
And I wore a biker jacket and Chuck Taylors. So don't complain to me about having to walk to school in 72-degree weather. Please and thank you. I'm that guy.
So how'd you get started wrestling?
So fast forward to I'm 17 years old, and the Toronto Star ran a wrestling column every weekend. And the Toronto Star was kind of, it still is. It's a major paper in Canada. So they ran this wrestling column. One week it said, if you want to be a wrestler, write in an essay as to why you should be the person that gets this free wrestling training.
Also an answer to Memphis's question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. It was this place called Sully's Gym, which was also a boxing gym down in Toronto. So I wrote in. I was like, I got to write in because wrestling training's $3,000. I come from a single parent household. My mom's working 2 jobs. She can't afford to set aside $3,000 for this. We're making do on the bills, So I thought I got to write in, and my best friend Jay, who wrestles as Christian, he was like, I'm writing in too. I was like, right, let's do it. And I wrote in, and I got a call. And it was this Texas accent, and this kind of drawl. I was like, hello, is Adam home? And I'm like, yeah. And it was this guy named Sweet Daddy Siki. Now, Sweet Daddy Siki, real quickly, Sweet Daddy Siki to pro wrestling was what Jackie Robinson was to baseball. He broke down racial barriers. He broke down color barriers. He was the first African-American man to wrestle a Caucasian in a lot of these southern states where we now live. He came out with a blonde pompadour and mirrors and these white gloves, and he was at the second wrestling show I ever went to. Fast forward years later, and here I am talking to him on the phone, and he's saying, we need you to come down to the gym because we want to take a look at you. So my car was broken down. My grandpa drove me down so I could meet these trainers. And I walked in. By this point, I'm 17 years old. I'm 6'4", I'm 224. So I'm like, okay, I got the size, I think, but I was still thin, And so I walk in there, and it's this beat up old dilapidated boxing gym, and it smelled like jock straps and mildew, and it smelled awesome. It smelled like a hockey locker room, And so I go in there, I sit down with Sweet Daddy Siki, and I sit down with this man named Ron Hutchison as well, and he was also one of the trainers. And then they gave me every reason to walk away from doing this. They tried to talk me out of it. They said, you're going to starve. Sweet Daddy was telling me he used to eat out of dumpsters because he didn't have enough money to eat. The thousands of miles that you will drive to do this, how much it hurts, how many things you'll miss with your family, the birthdays you'll miss, the Mother's Days you'll miss, a lot of stuff.
Did that scare you when you heard that?
Nope. I was like, I'm your guy. So I'm in. And they met with my grandpa, and they told him the same things, and he was like, well, Adaminsky, what do you think? I was like, Grandpa, I'm doing it. This is it. This is what I'm doing. Luckily, they called me a week later, said, you're the guy. And I got my training for free. It sped the process up exponentially because I don't know when I would have been able to afford to do the training. I would have done it, and I would have got there, but it might have been 3-4 years down the road, and now I'm 20, 21, 22. what this did, starting at 17, I signed with WWE when I was 23. So I was really, really young because I started so early.
Wow. That's amazing.
All right, Mavis, advice.
I need to get some advice from you. Well,
All right.
Actually, us. What advice would you give us when we're trying to kill our dad? Well, not kill him, but beat him down to the ground.
Let me give some context to this. There's some frequent bed wrestling before going to, there's frequent wrestling. And when they were talking to you about wrestling, they both looked at each other. They're like, we could get some tips. We could get some tips on how to take that out.
I'm sure your dad is going to love this.
Yes, I'm sure he is. Good thing you know him very well.
So here's all you have to do when it comes to dads. Wait it out, because eventually their backs are going to give out.
Yes!
At some point, the back is going to seize up. So make him bend over. Stay low. And if he has to stay bent over, trust me, eventually that thing's going to seize. And then he's going to lock up and go, oh, I can't lift my feet. Uh-oh, I got to shuffle to the bathroom now. Trust me. Lower back.
Lower back. That's some good pointers. And I think the rest of our audience will definitely appreciate that tip. Oh my gosh, that's a great one.
Okay, guys, so this is the first time we've had a 2-part episode.
We know this interview was long, but that's because it was great.
I can't believe we had the chance to talk to Adam in the midst of all the Comic-Con prep, a broken leg, and all the Percy Jackson press.
He really is such a great guy. Wrestler, creative, actor.
And friend.
Please remember to subscribe so you can get next week's episode.
We will learn more about his childhood, filming fights for TV, and yes, I get to nerd out about Percy Jackson. That's the best part of this whole podcast, guys.
So you know the drill.
If you like it, leave a review so that other kids, parents, and creatives can find us. If you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it, and share our Instagram at Your Story Club Podcast.
Special thanks and shout outs also go to the people who helped get this whole thing started. Emma Schuster, who helped create our logo and did a bunch of the admin. Matthew Holden, who interned at North Rose Pictures this spring.
And my uncle Andy Mayer, who brought the logo to life and continues to be my mom's emergency lifeline in all the technical and audio stuff, whatever it's called. It takes a village, people. It does.
To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me at Emily Rose LA, to visit our production company at North Rose Pictures, and for Adam, visit him at Rated R Cope. For the Doggie Rescue that he mentioned, visit at Road Dogs, spelled with 1 D. Road Dogs. And to see our creations this week, head on over to our Instagram at Your Story Club Podcast.
But most importantly, we hope that you kids were inspired today to know that your story is being written as we speak. These people we interview started somewhere and worked through so many challenges in their lives.
So until next time, remember,
Everyone has a story.
This podcast is brought to you by North Rose Pictures.